Everybody, just posted the top quarterbacks specific video. This video is going to be the running backs that I like for week one. So, same type of deal. Go through the positions, touch on my favorite plays, touch on maybe some other guys that look good for tournaments, and let's get started. So, as always, hit the like button. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate that. If you want to join us, links in the description. Twitter's also in the description if you want some to stay up to date. But without further ado, let's get started. So we'll start top to bottom this week, and at least on Draftkings, it's a little bit of a different story on FanDuel based on the pricing. But Draftkings wise, I just don't see how you can fade Christian McCaffrey in a cash game setting. He gets a matchup against the Jets, who were okay against the run last year, above average. But overall, McCaffrey's not just a running back. He's also most likely going to be at the top or leading the Panthers in terms of targets. Now that he's fully healthy, we know he's the just a touchdown monster whenever he's inside the red zone. In 3 games last year, he had 6 total touchdowns. He had almost 20 targets. He had had a game where he had 28 touches. So you're looking at 25, 30 touches potentially out of McCaffrey every single week. Maybe it's a little bit less in week one, missing a lot of time, but it doesn't really matter. He's only $9,500. You have him, Dalvin Cook. Those have to be the top 2 running backs. They are the most expensive running backs, but McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook are my top 2 running backs. When you get a running back that's might be a little bit more popular in Derrick Henry, who's a viable pivot to a guy like Dalvin Cook. But personally, I like Dalvin Cook more. I will like Dalvin Cook more every week, most of the weeks, between him and Henry, because Cook gives you that receiving work that Henry doesn't really do. If Henry has a game where he doesn't fall into the end zone multiple times or break off of like a 70, 60, multiple, like a 50, 40-yard run, he's going to struggle and get you like in the teens or even at a couple of games where he's dropped under 10. And he's always popular most weeks. This week, I think he's going to be popular again. So give me Dalvin Cook instead. Give me McCaffrey. I don't think people are playing Henry over McCaffrey, but they could be playing Henry over Cook, and Cook gets a matchup against one of the worst teams last year against the run. If we look at some of the advanced numbers for the Bengals, if we want to pull up how teams were against running backs, can do that. So in terms of 2020 numbers, the Bengals were right there here, giving up about almost 20 fantasy points per game to running back position. Cook is also going to catch you passes, also make a factor in the right and the goal line, get those touchdown looks. Now doesn't really have a guy besides Madison to steal some work out of him. So definitely Cook and McCaffrey are the top 2 running backs. I don't really see myself getting away from McCaffrey. Cook looks a little bit better on FanDuel based on the pricing than McCaffrey. Jonathan Taylor is 8,000, Kamara is 86. So once again, Kamara is going to get you more work in the passing game. The Colts have a couple of other running backs. The Saints have Latavius Murray for who knows how much longer, because there was talk they were going to release him to save some cap. They did have, I think Tony Jones made an emergence in preseason for them at running back. But Kamara, we saw what he brings to the table. 60-point upside in terms of DraftKings points. 6 touchdown game against the Saints. Matchup here against the Packers is also not an easy one, but no more Drew Brees. There's also no Michael Thomas. They have Callaway is their number 1 wide receiver. So Kamara, just based on the numbers, is going to be getting a lot of work in the passing game from Winston. Winston is a guy that does throw deep, but Kamara is just going to force his way to get some targets here out of the backfield, get some screens, get you probably 20 touches every single weekend. I don't see anybody taking away his touchdown looks, taking away his goal line looks. So for me, I got to go Kamara, Cook, McCaffrey as the top 3. It would be McCaffrey. Probably the price tag on Kamara is my second, then Cook is my third. On DraftKings, at least, I think if I had to fade anybody at the top end, it's going to be Henry. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor. I like Taylor overall this year, but 8,000 for a guy that's might not get a lot of third down work, because they do have Naheem Hines there to get some third down work in passing situations. And I don't think there's any word of him being he should continue to get a ton of work. But they do have some other running backs that could take some passing down work away from Taylor. So for that reason, he's going to be behind the top 3. Barkley, if he plays, there's already word that he's going to be limited a bit, so can't really play him, even though the price tag is nice at 78, except for some tournaments. Looking at some of the cheaper top-end guys here, I love Nick Chubb, but I don't think this is the week to play him against KC. Maybe he sneaks into the end zone a couple times, but this game seems like Baker Mayfield's going to have to use his arm. He's going to have to throw the football a little bit more. So for that reason, I think I'm looking to the passing attack more. Maybe look to Kareem Hunt, who's probably going to get a little bit more work in the passing game. But Swift here, he's also could be limited a little bit in week one. They said he should be ready, but I don't know. This is also not the best matchup at all. So for a running back that has a lot of stock this year, I have a lot of upside, a lot of interest in Swift, just with how little options Detroit has on offense. But this week is not the week that I want to play DeAndre Swift. So I'm rather look to Austin Eckler, who another year to get more acclimated with Herbert in the offseason. He is a guy that got injured late last year, but the thing that was super concerning was that only 3 touchdowns. I don't think that's going to continue for a guy that also will get you like 5 to 10 targets every single week in the passing game. So I got to like Eckler at only 7,000 against Washington. Scroll down a little bit more, you get to Aaron Jones, who's nicely priced at 68. I play him over Swift. The 6K range is very strong with Aaron Jones, but my favorite has to be Joe Mixon at $6,200. I have to throw in Miles Sanders here. I love this stack for the Eagles. I love this game stack. Sanders is probably going to make some work, make some noise in the passing attack as well. So Sanders, 65. He looked very good with Jalen Hurts in there. He had a couple of monster games late in the season, and the touchdown should hopefully be there this year, and just in terms of a little bit higher, more powerful quarterback instead of Carson Wentz, who has his fair share of struggles these days. But Sanders, love him. Joe Mixon, a 3-down workhorse at this price tag against the Minnesota Vikings, who were very bad defensively last year. Mixon should be fresh and ready to go after missing some time last year, a lot of time, but this stack looks nice. Love Joe Burrow. We can throw in Mixon in terms of running back. Other guys in the 5K range here, you have like Mike Davis, who I like just because he's going to be a 3-down probably 3-down running back this year for the Falcons. He filled in nicely for the Panthers in place of McCaffrey and got himself a nice little contract in the offseason. So 5K range, besides Mike Davis here, maybe throw in like Hunt in terms of tournaments. I have no interest at all in David Johnson with that 3-headed committee in Houston. Maybe some interest in Gibson, although not the easiest matchup. The 4K range, you have Tevin Coleman probably going to start, but the Jets also don't have a ton of interest in him just because who wants to play Tevin Coleman at 49 when he could be splitting some work? Lindsey also in that committee, I have no interest there. I'd rather look to the cheapest guy in Mark Ingram, who started. Maybe he gets like the touchdown work he did, get some goal line work in the preseason. And that's it. Like, besides taking like just flyers on some of these guys at the bottom, which I don't see why you would when you have so many good running backs at the top end and you have so much value at receiver, it's very easy to pay up at running back on DraftKings. The top end running backs this week, the 6K range is loaded, the 7K, 8K range, even the 9K range, obviously, with the top 2 options. So I'm going to show you guys the condensed version on PowerPoint. Like for week 1, it gives you my 7 top options this week. You know, you have a couple of other guys you can throw in the mix if you make 150. But if you just make a handful of teams, this would kind of be my player pool at least. McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Kamara as your top end dogs. Eckler as your kind of mid-range. And then some of the value with Mike Davis, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders. Didn't really throw in Najee Harris, but he's kind of in the mix as well. But just wanted to narrow it down to like 7 or 8 guys. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Let me know some feedback. Let me know what your top running backs are, who you wouldn't include, exclude. And I'll see you all in the next video. So thanks for watching, and peace. Quarterback.